Welcome to Livingstone Ranch. Today we're going to talk about why rabbits. If you've seen some of my other rabbit videos, you know I love rabbits. I think they're fantastic. They're great animals to keep. I really do just love them. For years I've wanted to be a rabbit rancher, have a giant cattle trailer and haul around 1,000 rabbits from pasture to pasture so they can get fresh grass. But as it is, I think we only keep 7 right now. 7 full-time rabbits is what we're keeping currently, and it's working out pretty well for us so far. So today we'll go over the pros and cons of rabbits, and keep in mind I am not a rabbit expert. This is just something we started to do, and I really enjoy them. We do our best. We try to learn where we can, and so hopefully this is helpful for you if you want to start keeping rabbits. I would say the biggest pro for me is the affordability of keeping rabbits. So the rabbit itself is a very affordable animal to purchase. If you find some, you can find very expensive rabbits for sure. But if you want to get started in keeping rabbits, and especially if you're going to keep them for something like meat, they're very affordable if you're not too concerned about your breed. Our meat rabbits are a mixed breed, and we got them for next to nothing. But they're fantastic rabbits, and they're doing really well. So if you want to get started raising some sort of an animal, rabbit is really an easy, cheap, affordable animal to start keeping. After that, the equipment that you need is also very affordable. I would say for the rabbit, you're going to need a cage that is tall enough for them to stand up in fully and big enough for them to move around in. You'll need a feeder, a waterer. You're going to need like a rabbit safe mat, or like maybe a piece of wood that's big enough for your rabbit to lay down on fully. That's so they can rest their feet, so they don't have to stand on that wire all the time. But those are all very affordable items that you can get almost anywhere. Every farm supply store, Walmart, Amazon, they all have this stuff for rabbits. It's all affordable, easy to get, and easy to replace if you need to. I would say your cage should have a cover, and your rabbits should also have a place for them to be able to run around so they can get exercise. But again, those things are all just, it's affordability with raising rabbits is there. After that, I'd say the amount of space that you need would be the next big pro to raising rabbits. A rabbit, if we just talked about the cage, you can raise a rabbit in a small backyard. In fact, you could raise them in your house if you wanted to. And so if you want to know where your meat comes from, and you're thinking, hey, I kind of want to start raising my own meat, a rabbit is a great choice, especially if you live in town. You don't need 40 acres to raise a rabbit. You just need a small place for them to get exercise and a safe cage for them to sleep in. So I would say that rabbits are very quiet and the perfect animal to start raising if you're low on space. They're just fantastic. Next would be the amount of time, I think, to recoup your costs. So we keep yaks, and we bought them as calves. So it is going to take us a little bit longer to recoup our costs, but realistically, I'm looking at 4-5 years before I start recouping any significant costs with my yaks. Now, the rabbits, most rabbit breeds you can breed at 6 months old. I have some giant Flemish rabbits that I'm not going to breed until they're 8 months old. And even Maybelle, our Rex doe, this little guy's mom here, Maybelle, we didn't breed Maybelle till she was 9 months old. Some of that had to do with timing, but I just wasn't in a rush to breed her. So let's say 6 months old, they have a 30-day gestation period. And then after that, you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks, you can start weaning those kits. And if you're raising rabbits that you're going to have as pets, or sell as pets, something like that, you're at, a very short period of time before you start recouping your costs. Now, if you're going to raise meat rabbits, I would, I let my meat rabbits grow a little bit bigger than that, larger than the 8 weeks old, but not much. And so again, that's just a real quick turnaround in getting your recouping your investment there is pretty fast. So that's another plus for rabbits. After that, I guess I would say there's other ways that you can recoup your costs. So rabbits, again, their meat, you can sell their meat or you can sell them as pets. Their meat is fantastic. It has real high protein and it's very lean. Unfortunately for me, it does taste like chicken. I don't really care for chicken that much, but if you like chicken, you'll probably like rabbit. You know, and my wife cooks it all the same ways that she would do chicken, but she also does a really nice rabbit stew. And you know, there's lots of things you can do with the rabbit meat. It's really good. I would say after that, um, they're really great pets. So selling them as pets is another option for you to recoup some costs. Again, like a rabbit can be litter box trained. They're just really great. So um, you can also, you know, if you're raising meat rabbits, you can sell their pelts. We don't do that yet. I do have them stored, but I'm not sure if I'm actually going to do it or not. We'll see. It's just there's a lot of work that goes into it for the amount of money that you're going to get per pelt. So I'm not 100% on that if I want to do that or not. But it is just another source of revenue if you're looking for that. I would say also you can sell the waste droppings. They're fantastic fertilizer, and they don't need to be composted. And so if that's something that you want to do, even for your own garden, if you have your own garden, it's just will help you out because you can throw the rabbit droppings in your garden. You don't need to compost it, or I know other people sell it to neighbors or you know to anywhere. So anybody who wants some rabbit dropping fertilizer, it's something that you might be able to do. For us, we don't do that at all. Like I said, we feed them a lot of Timothy grass, and that grass just gets mixed up on these trays. And so I just toss it all in our compost pile, but that's because we have that already. You know, I already have a compost pile going, and so throwing this in there only helps it. Um, but it is another source of revenue. Also, I would say definitely their milk. Rabbit milk makes fantastic cheese. Oh, okay. Well, Maybell says no. So maybe you shouldn't try milking your rabbits. But if you do, let me know because I have to be interested to know how that turned out. Um, Yeah, so rabbits are great. There's lots of ways for you to recoup your costs. I'd say the last pro for a rabbit is they're very easy to take care of. For our rabbits, we make sure they have a clean cage. We make sure that they get exercise. And here in the barn, we have a floor that's 8 by 12 feet, and they can run around in there. I do have wire down on the floor, but it's all covered with wood chips and hay that's fallen out of my hands. And so my rabbits, they get out all the time. I always let them out so they can get exercise, run around, and jump and just have fun. The bigger giant Flemish rabbits, I just leave their door open and they can go in and out of their cage. And so having a, you know, that's important for us that they can do that and be healthy and get around. Um, but just keep them, you know, give them food every day and clean their cage and give them fresh water. That's about, you know, the extent of it, really. They're not hard to take care of. We do dust them with diatomaceous earth, you know, in the spring, just for bugs if we happen to have them. But, you know, I'm not trimming hooves and I'm not having to get them in a squeeze chute or brush out lots of fur. You know, I'm not taking them on walks. There's so much that you don't have to do with a rabbit. I hold them, I can let them get exercise, and I make sure that their environment is clean. And so they have good, clean water and food to eat. And that's about it with my rabbits. That's how we take care of them. So they're very simple. You know, they don't need all the shots. They don't need all that stuff. They're great pets if you want a pet, and also a great source of meat if you want to start raising meat rabbits. Now there are some cons to raising rabbits. Rabbits are very sensitive to temperature, and so that's something to monitor if you're going to keep rabbits, especially if you live where it gets really hot in the summer. A rabbit will overheat, and you could lose your rabbit to heat. And so for us, I have a thermometer in here that's Bluetooth. And so I can see it inside the house and know really how hot it is in here. And if I see that it's getting warm, I'll bring out frozen bottles of water for the rabbits. And they'll cozy up next to that and it'll help cool them off. We used to use plastic bottles, but we're going to start using metal bottles because the rabbits would always chew the plastic. And that can't be good for them, but also the bottles would leak all over the place after they started chewing them. And so I think this year we're going to switch over to metal bottles. But yeah, that's one way to help cool them off. The other would be airflow. And we built this barn in a way that you get a lot of airflow. And of course, you don't need a barn like this to keep rabbits. We just did it because about a third of the structure was here and it was very ugly. And it was part of our view and from our backyard was this ugly structure. And so we thought we'd put a nice little barn here and keep our rabbits in it. And so with that, I have lots of airflow in the summertime so that they can stay cool. So keeping a rabbit cool when it's hot is very important. I've also read that they can get hypothermia if the temperatures get low enough. And I've read things like 20 degrees or so. I don't really know for sure. For us, we don't let our cage or the barn here get that cold. It definitely gets that cold here, but I have this little, looking at it, you probably can't see it, this little greenhouse heater that's super efficient, and it'll definitely keep it over 20 degrees, even if it's 0 outside. I don't have it set real high, but normally I shoot to keep it right above freezing, like 33 degrees, something like that. And a lot of that's just for me, for my sake, so I don't have to thaw out water bottles in the morning. So that is something to think about. If you live where it gets really cold, make sure that your rabbits can be taken care of that way. I do know people who really don't do anything here in this area for the rabbits in the wintertime, and their rabbits seem to be fine. You can also give them nesting boxes, things like that, for them to, be covered around in hay. I find that I put nesting boxes in only for when they're going to have their kits. Otherwise, I don't do it, and that's because I see too many of them become like a toilet, and I don't want to clean it. And we keep it warm enough in here where it's fine. And they do have the mats for them to lay down on and be comfortable. So yeah, that's a con, is they're sensitive to temperatures. And it makes sense. A rabbit in the wild will burrow down into the ground, and the temperatures there are going to be much more consistent, and they can always get out of the elements. And so it does make a lot of sense. He's such a good rabbit. That that they're sensitive to that. I would say they're also sensitive to other things like allergies. Rabbits can develop allergies to smoke or to dust. And so keeping a clean environment for them to live in is important. Otherwise, your rabbit's going to start sneezing, and they'll get snot build up on their nose, and they'll start scratching like all over the place. And you don't want a rabbit with sinus problems. They struggle with that. So it's something to monitor and just really try to keep a clean environment for them, and they'll probably be fine. So with that too, like cleaners, things like that, we don't use any cleaners around our rabbits. What I'll do is steam clean in here with a little pressure steamer. And so I'll steam clean the insides of the water bottles and the cages to get all that urine off of the wire and all that. And I don't have to do it often, but I do it that way. That way we're not using any cleaners around them, because again, rabbits can be very sensitive animals. I would say too, also, it would be just introducing new food. If you're going to introduce new food, which is fine, there's lots of lists out there of foods that you can give rabbits. We don't do it. We stick just with the rabbit pellets and mostly Timothy grass. But you can. And with that is just, do it slowly. Make sure your rabbit's digesting it okay, because they're pretty sensitive animals when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah, so those are two cons that I have, is sensitivity to temperatures and sensitivity just to their environment, I guess. I guess the last con I would have for a rabbit is they got some sharp little nails, and you can trim them if you want. I don't do it, but you can. And but if you don't know how to hold a rabbit, they can get you pretty good. They'll slice you open, so be careful with that. if it's your first time getting into rabbits. I think in the future we'll do a whole video on the rabbit barn and some of the stuff that we use and why we use the things that we use. Just so you can see, the differences between some things and others, and the stuff that we find that works for us. And maybe you like something else, and that's great. But we'll do a whole video on that in the future. But I hope this helps you. And if you're looking to find an animal to raise, for meat, and you don't have a lot of space, I hope you'll consider rabbits. If you're looking just for a great pet, uh, look at these guys. They're just adorable. Look at you. You look a lot like your mom. Okay, I'm back. Maybelle was getting a little bit uncomfortable with me talking about meat so much while I was holding one of her babies. But there is one more pro to raising rabbits for meat, and that would be they are very easy to clean and to butcher. And so I would say if that's something that concerns you, or you've never, uh, dispatched an animal for harvest and cleaned an animal or butchered an animal, I would say the rabbit might be the easiest animal to do that with. And so there are, like I said, a lot of very easy, quick, clean, humane ways to dispatch a rabbit for harvest, and they're very simple to clean and get ready for butcher. So I would say that's a very big pro for a rabbit. Um, it's a way that you can learn and also get your meat, and it's not going to be as difficult as butchering a whole cow or something like that. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Livingstone Ranch.